there's so many people who had such a huge impact on me and my sobriety, and they have no clue. As simple as it was for me, I called my boss crying, and I love her. She is so incredible. To this day, I still keep in touch, but I called her and I was like, hey, I have to go to rehab. And she's like, yo, go to rehab. You got your job when you get back. And I was just like,
incredible.
Like, why would you do that for me?
Yep.
Like, looking back, like, yeah, of course, the right thing to do. But like in that moment, it was the biggest thing that could have happened.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the Finding Good podcast. Here we dive deep into conversations with remarkable people who have found success in life despite all of life's myriad challenges and found good on the other side. Based on 3 tenets defined in my best-selling memoir, Finding Good, these individuals have been positively selfish, surrounded themselves with good people, and more than anything, done their part to make this world a better place. My name is Mike Thompson, and this is Finding Good. Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Finding Good podcast. I'm your host, Mike Thompson. My guest today is a very, very close friend, and it's rare that I get to have a conversation in this realm with somebody that I absolutely adore and admire, and we have a ton of things in common, but more than anything, we are living a life that we never thought was possible after being addicted to drugs and alcohol, and quite truly are living our best life now. He's taken the running world by storm. He is winning races left and right. He recently qualified for the Olympic marathon trials and performed incredibly well in them. More than anything, he's just an incredible human, and I can't wait for you to get to know him. Mitch Ammons. Welcome to the Finding Good podcast, my friend.
Thank you. That was a great intro.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
It's hard to summarize you in words, and I think I'll speak for everybody that knows Mitch. If you're out there listening, is to know him is to love him. There's no in between. And getting to know you both through the realm of running, but also as the husband of one of my best friends, we share so much in common. We're recovering addicts. We're dog lovers. We both love carrying our pistols. We love running. We love food. And there's just so many parallels of
we both have wives that we were not.
We both
qualified.
married way up, way
up.
out of our league. And truly, our women, our ladies, have brought us into this new realm that we never thought possible.
Transform me.
Just for our listeners, tell us who Mitch is. Where are you from? Where were you born? What brought you to Austin? All those things.
Yeah. So I grew up in Dallas. Mom and dad were still together till my dad passed.
Doc Ammons.
I had a great childhood. I basically got everything I wanted. Obviously had everything I needed. I had a lot of fun. I was a good kid. I didn't get into trouble. I paid attention in school and I listened to my parents. I had a great time.
One of the things that you readily talk about is your sobriety journey. Yeah. And we're going to get into the minutia of that in just a little bit. But first, I want to talk about your running career because many of you have probably read or saw the Runner's World article that came out almost exactly a year ago.
It was about a year ago.
Yeah. That really chronicled
it was exactly a year ago.
Your journey.
Yeah.
From being the ultimate partier, the guy that went to rehab 6 times, the guy that would, not just alcohol and light pharmaceutical drugs, but went all the way into meth and crack.
Meth and heroin,
looking
crack,
at you now, it's hard to picture you, in that realm. But talk a little bit about running and your success in running really in recent years.
Yeah. Well, just real quick, to piggyback off that, I don't even recognize myself and I can't even imagine what I used to be like. Like, it's just so foreign to me because it was such a drastic change. But running, I got into running, maybe it was 2018. 2019, it started to get a little more serious. And then 2020, it really got pretty serious. I kind of always had a thought that if I were to ever get sober, that running would be my exercise of choice because I did it for a little bit when I was younger. I ran a little bit in high school, in elementary school and in high school.
And you've always been an athlete.
I was an athlete. I played all the sports in middle school and high school. But I was pretty good at running, and I did it pretty effortlessly. Obviously have great genetics. Both my parents ran marathons. But yeah, I think 2020, it really started to take off. I started chipping away at some pretty ambitious goals that I had. And it just, and then it sort of started like exponentially getting better and better, or at least I did.
One of the things that I noticed in the Runner's World article, which was incredibly well written, was you seem to be kind of Benjamin Buttoning your fitness. Like you just continue to get faster as you get older. And granted, the more that you distance yourself away from your addiction and alcoholism, the more healthy you're getting. And we're going to talk about health and wellness and health span versus lifespan a little bit later. I think
fitness is very different from being healthy. So we can talk about that.
We'll break those things down. But you do seem to be getting faster and faster. Your times are improving. And what do you credit that to other than genetics? Because to keep that competitive edge sharp, you've got to sharpen it. So what does that look like now for you with training?
Yeah. Well, genetics definitely a contributor, probably the main one, but I work really hard. I have a few non-negotiables, and one is waking up every morning at, whatever time, 4:45, 5 a.m. And I hit the roads running by 6 a.m. every single day.
No matter what?
No matter what. There's different phases, but if I'm training for a race, then it is non-negotiable no matter what I do it. I do my morning run, and most likely I have an evening run as well. And I work very hard, and I do the necessary things to recover for the most part, and which is rest and stretching, foam rolling, all that kind of stuff, strength work. But yeah, I think I work really hard. I kind of set my mind to something, and I don't give up till I get there.
Outside of running, your professional life, you're in real estate, right? A realtor. When did you start?
I'm in real estate. Journey? I am a realtor. I got my license a little over 3 years ago. First year, I caught the tail end of the pandemic hype, the really hot market. That was fun, interesting. It was very easy. It was very easy to get a listing. Last year, I was a top seller on my team. All but one deal was with buyers. It's just kind of how it goes sometimes. And it's where the market's at. It's a very good market for a buyer. But yeah, and the other thing, which is the best part about all of it, is 2024, every single one of my deals was either a friend of mine or a friend of a friend. So my sphere or a friend's sphere, which is a great feeling. I'm not really doing the prospecting for clients. I'm pretty referral based at this point, and
word of mouth.
Yeah, word of mouth. It really is refreshing and a great feeling to know, because I have to do a good job for someone for them to refer me out to their friends and family. And
right, it's not just okay, we know Mitch, we run with Mitch, let's buy a house from him. You actually have to do the work.
Yeah, it's funny because the first couple years, I had friends buy houses without me. And I asked them, I said, look, I'm not upset or mad. I just would like to know, why did you choose another agent over me? I'm your friend. You can trust me more than anybody. And they both said I wasn't going to risk losing this house. And I was like, that's fair. I was new. At this point,
you didn't have a reputation as a realtor at that point.
Correct. Yeah. And that is another thing I've really been working on a little bit last year, more so this year, is just trying to be known for both. Every time I see friends, they say, hey, how's running going? What's your next race? And by just as simple as using social media to show what I'm doing, to show that when I'm on showings with clients, or if I'm going to a listing appointment or a buyer's appointment, I just take a quick photo and just say, hey, going to a buyer's appointment. And I think that the issue in the beginning, because I did a lot of deals in the beginning, but no one knew.
Right.
And why would anyone think I was worth a damn if
you weren't telling the story?
Yeah. And they're like, for all we know, he runs all the time. That's all they think.
You said it was easy early on, especially toward the tail end of COVID, but even something easy requires work and follow up. And I saw you posted something on Instagram where we were the top salesman for Landy Frost. Yeah. And it's just nothing short of impressive. The fact that you have an elite running career, you're qualifying for Olympic marathon trials, you're excelling in running and fitness probably as much as, if not more than, other professionals and elites, especially in this run hub that we know of Austin. And at the same time, the top salesman. So you're excelling in two very distinct realms of life. And I don't think you would be even close to that if you were still using.
Oh, no.
Is that fair to say?
It's yeah. I mean, I'm going to let you bring up the next topic, but I mean, without my sobriety, I mean, I can't even put into words like how horrible I was and the situation was, and I couldn't keep a job. I was mostly in and out of college at that point, and I couldn't keep up with, like, I just couldn't keep up. I couldn't make it to class. I'd be too sick.
Let's dive right in. For those of you that haven't read one of the many articles about Mitch or seen news stories, how did that whole journey into addiction and alcoholism start, and how far did it go?
Yeah, I think I smoked weed for the first time in like the summer after 7th grade with
so you're 13, 14 years old.
13 or 14
like
with the guy who's still one of my very best friends today. It's really funny. I tried every drug with him. And he's still he's not sober, but he's not like crazy or anything. He's not an addict. He just recreationally uses, but I took it to a different place. But yeah, I mean, I grew up with friends that had older brothers, and they were kind of like bad. Not bad.
Do you have siblings?
I have half siblings that I don't really consider siblings. Sure. But my friends' brothers were like what I looked up to. I idolized them. I thought they were the coolest thing I'd ever seen, and they were kind of bad and, you know, in and out of trouble, like little things, like not real trouble, but they smoked weed and they drank, and I was like in the 8th grade or 7th grade, and I was like, and they were in high school. I was like, that's all I want to do. I want to be.
That's cool.
The way I looked at them, I wanted people to look at me. And so, yeah, but I started smoking and then drinking very early, probably 7th or 8th grade, at least summer after 7th grade. And
what was the relationship with your parents like at that time? Were they engaged in your life to the point of like, we know you're going to encounter drugs and alcohol, please don't do it? Was that ever a conversation that you remember having?
No, it was not that. No, and I think that, and it even into my addiction, pretty deep into my addiction, they would rationalize that he just parties. He just has fun. I mean, they grew up and they were like young and fun in the 80s. Like it was wild back then. Like cocaine was not a big deal.
Right.
So I remember the first time I got caught with weed, I had a little stash spot in my closet. My mom left me a note. Hey, come talk to me. Like, so I found it. I went and talked to her. I was
non-confrontational.
I was like, it's a friend's. And she's like, and yeah, I got in a little trouble. There is a consistent theme of me not having any consequences for anything. And when I had some sort of consequence, like going to jail, I'd get bailed out by my parents because no one wants to let their kids, you know, sit in jail.
Yeah, my mom struggled. I mean, when I sat in jail for 30 days, my mom says it was harder than when I had cancer.
For sure.
She had to let her son live with the consequences of whatever it may be, whether it's, you know, not following up with probation that you're on or drinking and driving, things that I hate about my past, but if they never happened, I wouldn't be the person I am today. Yeah. So that started for you.
The consequences.
Most people have it in middle school.
Yeah. The accumulation of consequences towards the end are what finally made me make a decision. But throughout my time of using, I had a lot of major consequences and none of them even fazed me. It was more so the consequences of my friends and family telling me we can't be around you because you're killing yourself.
You started with a little bit of weed, a little bit of alcohol.
A little bit of weed, a little bit of alcohol.
How far did it go into
my sophomore year of high school when I could drive? I was old for my grade, so I turned 16 in summer before sophomore year. If I was driving, I was drinking. I would smoke on my way to school every morning. I'd smoke weed on my way to school. And then I discovered pills and cocaine. And that was my sophomore year.
What kind of pills?
Xanax was my pill of choice. Xanax. And I mean, I experimented with like the hallucinogenic, you know, ecstasy or MDMA and LSD and some other designer drugs that they weren't my choice. They weren't my drug of choice, but I mean, I've been called a dumpster addict. I'll use anything. Like it doesn't even matter if it altered the way I felt, I would do it.
Kitchen sink.
Kitchen sink, sure.
Oh, the whole medicine cabinet.
Yeah.
And so take us through your adult years. You finished high school on time?
I did. I finished everything on time somehow. Yeah.
Which is so impressive.
Well, not college.
Remarkable.
I didn't finish college on time. I think I was in college for like 7 years with a
Arkansas,
bachelor's degree.
right?
Yeah.
Yep. And you were on drugs the entire time you were in college?
I was for the most part, and then I would have like 9 months sober, and then I'd relapse, and then again, and
were you, in terms of being 9 months sober, was that rehab induced? Was that personal choice? Was that getting in trouble?
No, it was like mom and dad caught me or heard something and said, hey, like we got to do something about this. You should probably go to rehab. And I'm like, well, I'm out of money. I'm dope sick. So sure.
Yeah. I'll stop.
Yeah, I'll stop for now, and I'll dry out and kind of gain some weight, get a little healthier, get some money in my pocket, and I'll go back out. And that was consistent for like, I think the first time I went to rehab, I was 19 or maybe even 18. It would have been late 2008.
Okay. That was crazy because the height of my addiction was 2007, 2008.
Yeah.
When I was taking 10 Norco a day, 4 gabapentin, a Xanax, oxycodone,
yeah,
like really just everything. I mean, and I got it all from doctors, like I went to a doctor, my jaw hurts. What works for you? This works for you. And I couldn't imagine living life not on them. I didn't know life was possible not living on them. Is that where you were also? Or was it more of like this makes me feel good, I'm going to keep doing it?
Both. But I had gotten to a point, I think maybe my sophomore year of college, where I had accepted the fact that this may just be how I am forever. And that's okay. And maybe it was a rough life. Waking up every morning dry heaving. I'm sure you had like some pretty severe opiate withdrawals.
Yes.
Until I could at that point I was smoking it. I was freebasing it off tinfoil, oxycodone off tinfoil. But it's like I would be choking and dry heaving until I could get like a couple hits, and then I'd be okay.
And then it would right the ship. Like everything.
Yeah, yes.
I remember.
I could go to class now. I could, whatever it was.
That's we share that. I mean, you're bringing me back to those memories of I can't go to class unless I calm the addiction down. Correct. It wasn't even, yes, it was comfort because my jaw still hurts. My jaw hurts all the time.
Right.
But it was, I've got a stomach ache and nausea if I don't take this. And I'm going to be like this forever because for me, from 1995, when I had my first round of chemotherapy all the way until 2008, not a day went by that I didn't put a foreign substance in my body.
Right.
And so I can distinctly remember that same feeling, Mitch, of I can't go to class without taking this. If I was out and I needed a refill that wasn't going to be ready until Monday, I would just stay in all weekend, drinking, do whatever I could to get through the weekend. And then Monday morning, I was at Walgreens the moment they opened, getting that refill. In your case, freebasing oxycodone. I mean, where were you getting these? Like you had dealers, you had a network. You
bring up a good point. I mean, mostly on the streets with dealers, but I doctor shop big time, and I got good at it.
Yeah,
and it really. I mean, let me back up a little bit. I was prescribed Adderall as like a child. I'm severely ADD and ADHD. Like I can see why they did it, but I really think that was like the catalyst of all this. Adderall is a very, very strong drug, and it's
highly
creates
addictive.
Dependency. Yeah, it does. And it also has like side effects, like feeling strung out.
Adderall is pharmaceutical cocaine.
It's more like pharmaceutical meth. It's very, very on the molecular level. It's very similar to crystal meth, like this, like a molecule away. Same with MDMA, all very similar.
And they pass that out like candy.
They pass it out like candy. And that was, and so I would go to like 1 or 2, 3 doctors sometimes, and I would shop them all, and I'd get whatever I could. So I'd get Adderall because I always had a prescription for that. And I'd get Xanax because at some point I went to a psychiatrist, made up some story that I was so anxious, and I got that first script. And once you get one, you can go to any doctor and be like, hey, I ran out, or I moved, or I did this, or I don't like that doctor. Can you fill me up? And they just take my word for it. I'd be like, yeah, I took 2 milligrams 3 times a day. And for the past, 3 years. And they're like, oh, okay, well, great. And then we'll write that script for you.
What's so interesting is that you and I were kind of victims of the lack of regulation around prescription drugs. And now I know this because I worked in healthcare and I still talk to a lot of addicts. I've got a history of addiction in my family with my now passed on grandmother. but they have something called the PMP, the Prescription Management Program, where any physician that can prescribe medicine can look up to see what other doctors have prescribed you. We didn't have that.
No.
We could go to any doctor really and just say, hey, my jaw hurts. I need this pain meds. And then literally in the same day, go to a different clinic and say, hey, my jaw hurts. I need this for a, $10 copay and $100 deductible or whatever.
Right.
And so it was easy for you to kind of stay
It was
hooked.
easy. Yeah.
Easy to
it
get
was easy
and easy to stay
It was
on.
easy for that. And my parents gave me money when I needed it.
Sure.
I mean, obviously I had to have a reason, but I made up reasons and it worked.
That's the addicts are the most manipulative people.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not a good liar.
Yeah.
But you get some drugs in my system and I will lie and you will believe it. And it's incredible. I don't even know how.
Talk about rehab. I know that when we had breakfast the other day, you were talking about the time that you were in rehab, I think for the sixth time.
Yeah, it was my sixth and last time, yeah.
You had a book that you were pretending to read just like this.
That's
and
correct.
Really what you were doing is freebasing.
I was shooting up in my hand.
In rehab.
Yeah.
With other people around.
Yeah.
Just the bravery of addicts, including myself.
I did it 2 nights in a row and got caught the second night.
Yeah. So that's so incredible. Was that the last time? Was that sixth trip to rehab? Was that the one that finally took?
And that time I passed out in my bed at the rehab center with all of my paraphernalia just sitting on my chest because I was like hiding it from everyone.
What an idiot.
That was my last time to use.
Really?
Yeah.
And that was when?
That would have been the 13th of August in 2015.
10 years, almost 10 years now.
Yeah, July, sorry.
Incredible. We're going to get into the 3 tenets a little bit more, but I want to talk to you about being positively selfish.
Sure.
Because, you've talked about your non-negotiables of running, but take me back to that moment of rehab when you were forced to go or you were.
It was a mixture this time. It was a combination of running out of money and just like not being able to manage myself and my sickness basically. I had been kicked out of my sober living house. I'd been there over a year. I'd been sober, or maybe just at a year. I'd been sober a year. I was going to a boat party for my job. I was waiting tables at Shady Grove, which was a staple at one point, but it's been gone for a little bit now.
Yeah, so it's sad to see that.
But I had known we had a boat party, and I was almost a year sober, or a little over a year sober, and I said, I'm drinking at this boat party. And this was like a week.
You kind of earned it.
I earned it. It was a week before, knowing full well what happens when I drink. I knew it would happen. And I said, I'm drinking and I don't care. I went on that boat party. On the way there, I picked up like a 12 pack of Bud Light or whatever. I drank it all on the boat. The second we got back to the dock, I was on the phone to my drug dealer who I hadn't talked to in over a year, getting cocaine from him. And then within 3 hours of doing cocaine, I was on the phone with him again, getting a sandwich bag full of pills, full of Xanax, and I was off to the races again. Yeah. It was one day. I used to be able to prolong the amount of time I could drink before I decided in my drunken stupor to go use harder drugs. I used to the amount of time got shorter and shorter and shorter. And the most recent time, it was literally the same day. Like I was like, I'm going to go drink. I'd already planned it out. I'm drinking today, but I'm not going to do anything else. In my head, I'm like, yes, you will. But I'm like, I'm not going to do it. Sure enough, I start drinking and I lose all sense of moral and ambition. And I say, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to get high.
Was when that last rehab, I want to talk about being positively selfish.
Yeah.
That for me is the first and most important tenet of finding good, because if you aren't 100%, you can't give 100% to the people around you. So, the running thing is one thing now. I know that that's a non-negotiable for you, but back then in the summer of 2015, what did you do from that point on to say, I'm going to be positively selfish. I'm going to do whatever I can to make myself whole without affecting the people around me, my family, my friends, and putting them in harm's way because of the way that you were acting. What did that start out like for you?
Yeah, there was a lot of things in the beginning. I remember the first time I went to treatment and they said, your recovery needs to be selfish. They told me that. And I'm like, I'm not selfish. No chance.
There's an instant, reaction. I'm not a selfish person.
It's got a very negative connotation.
The definition of the word selfish means living with a disregard for others.
Oh, well.
Which is why I say be positively selfish, because I hear so many people, and it usually comes from people that are very wealthy and were likely born into wealth.
Probably
and they say, selfish. Yeah, the purpose of life is to be in service of others. But when you're living paycheck to paycheck, or you're dealing with addiction or cancer or whatever it may be, it's hard to not be selfish. Sure. And so being positively selfish is you are focusing on yourself first so that you can live in regard to others, not disregard others. And so what was that like for you? Like they told you need to be selfish, you need to focus on you first. Yeah. Well, how was it reconciling?
There were, so let me just kind of start with like, each time I went to rehab, I would get out and I just threw everything out the window, said, I don't care.
Yep.
This most recent time I said, I don't want to be sober, but I think it's time. Because at this point, I've been charged with 6 felonies, at least. I've been to jail 10 times.
Never convicted?
Never convicted. And that's a whole nother story, but
sure.
White privilege is real. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I agree.
I was never convicted. Just the time it took for it to get completely out of control got shorter and shorter and shorter. So going into rehab, I said, I don't want to be here, but you know what? I'm going to do what they say. I'm going to do everything they say. That way, when it doesn't work, I can say I tried. I can say your shit doesn't work. I am the exception. And I did it. And when I left, I continued to do it. And I'm still sober today. And what that looks like was positively selfish is a great way to say it, because even disregarding others, because without disregarding others and focusing on myself, I cannot be there for others later. It's like my wife. If I am not completely selfish about what I need to be well, I guess, I can't help her. I can't do anything. I can't be there for her. I think that's such a great little saying, positively selfish, because it goes for running, it goes for work, it goes for my family. If I am not taking care of myself, then I cannot be there for others. And one of the biggest pillars of sobriety, and I won't get too much in detail, but like 12-step programs, is helping others. But before any of that even starts, you've got to get your shit together. Yep. And you've got to do it selfishly, because it is a very self-reflecting process, and you've got to really want to help yourself to do it, because you're looking at all the horrible things. The biggest one is the insecurities that I'm looking at. Why am I insecure? What do I have fear around? And I had to work through all of those with another person. And I had to make amends, and I had to do a whole bunch of stuff. That
I remember the first step of AA when I went to rehab was admitting that your life has become unmanageable. Yeah. And it took you 6 times to do it, but obviously that 6th one.
Yeah. And it averaged out about once or twice a year over the past 7 years.
So you were lucky to not be incarcerated for a long time.
I was very lucky. I'm lucky I didn't kill anyone.
Or yourself.
Or myself.
Die an overdose. So you're living positively selfish in that life moving forward. Is that when you immediately got back into running, or did it take time for you to?
It took time. I had a lot of resolve that I needed to do for myself first, just starting with my mind and my emotions. The first year of sobriety was rough. And I'm saying from a mental and emotional standpoint, I was so anxious. I was so nervous. I could not look a waiter at a restaurant in the eye. I was so deathly afraid of everybody. I was just afraid. I was afraid what people would think about me. I was afraid that I wasn't good enough. It's just all of the self-conscious things that people have. I had them all almost amplified at this point. And I do think the drugs had a lot to do with it. I'd been on heavy drugs for the last almost decade. And you get and you get that stuff out, and you're just nothing.
Well,
I have no coping skills whatsoever.
You and I both know this from our personal experience, but they say that for every year that you were on drugs, it takes a month to feel normal again. So you're looking at the majority of a year trying to just feel normal. So
I'd
those
say,
first few months, it was hard.
that's a great estimation, because it was about, once that year got by, a lot of things changed. But I was terrified of everyone and everything my first year of sobriety. It's a miracle that I made it through, and I didn't make it through alone. I had a lot of support. I had a lot of, I'll call them mentors in sobriety, people that would answer my calls any time of day, any time of night, and talk me through my crazy ass emotions. And I couldn't have done it without them. All of this to lead to, I don't know where I was going with this. Never mind.
Well, no, it's a perfect segue into the second tenet, which is to surround yourself with good people.
Okay.
And I don't know if you remember this, but they say in rehab, in order to succeed in sobriety and recovery, you need to change your people, places, and playthings.
I remember it very clearly, like it was yesterday.
What about the people? I know that you mentioned you had a friend that would use early on and that you're still friends with them. And I've had people like that in my life too, some of which I don't really talk to anymore just because they went down different pathways in life, but others I actually had to distance myself from. Mm-hmm. And so talk about that. Who did you insulate yourself with to be that successful person, that sober person moving forward? And who did you have to distance yourself from?
Let me start further back before success, and let's keep talking about a failure for a minute. As a kid, I saw a crowd that I thought was cool and I wanted what they have, so I surrounded myself with them. Yep. In high school, I found the crowd that were dealing drugs and doing the cool bad stuff, and I surrounded myself with them. Moving to sobriety, I didn't think it was possible to get sober for me. I thought I was the exception. However, I had heard and met people who had a way worse story than I did. People who had been IV heroin and meth addicts for more years than I had quit and had become successful and had this great life and had a wife and kids and had made some money and own a house and a few cars. And I saw that and I surrounded myself with that. Even when I didn't think it was possible, I firmly believe that you're the company you keep, right? Like you are who you surround yourself with. And so going on with this theme, I saw the people in sobriety I wanted to be like. I sought them out and I surrounded myself with them and I succeeded. In running, when I started running, I joined a running group and I quickly saw who the fast guys were, the cool guys were, and I did everything I could to surround myself with them. Moving forward into my career, my most recent move to a different team, I found the guys that I thought were doing everything how I wanted to do things. I loved their success. I love their brand. I love how much better they are than me at this. And I need to surround myself with them. I did that at the beginning of 2024. And throughout that year, I became the top seller. Same with running. I surrounded myself with friends that I train with, and I
Slim.
I surpassed them. Slim is probably one of my very best friends.
Shout out Slim, Michael Morris, and Carly.
Slim is probably one of the best dudes I've ever met.
Great human being.
Yeah.
The perfect example of what you can do to what you say is you are who you surround yourself with.
I do.
I can't picture you as a drug addict at all because I know lovable Mitch. Mm-hmm. Like you always have a smile on your face. You're always not intentionally, but kind of like the nucleus, that straw that stirs the drink of our social group. And I absolutely just love being around you because it makes me feel alive and happy to be alive. But you and I shared that same pattern of not knowing that life was possible outside of using. For sure. And it's just so impressive that you've come all this way and not just living a life outside of it, but really thriving in running, in real estate, whatever it may be, certainly in personal relationships with Jordy. And we'll get to Jordy in a second because she's just an angel on earth. When did you move to Austin? When did you get here? Because I really feel like Austin became that catalyst for you to be living the life that you're living now.
For
so
sure,
at what
yeah.
point,
I moved here early 2014.
Okay, so became sober. You were already living in Austin. What were you doing for work?
I got sober, moved to Austin, relapsed in Austin, then got sober again and continued to live in Austin. My first 5 or 6 years of sobriety, I waited tables.
Okay.
And
just service industry.
Yeah, service industry. I loved it. I freaking loved the service industry. It's like it's a grind and you work really, really hard. But when you're not working really, really hard, you're like hanging out with your homies.
How did you? One of my guests is our friend Philip Spear, head chef, owner of Commodore.
Yeah, we love him.
He lives a sober lifestyle now.
He does.
And we talked about at length the service industry culture of drinking and drugs, and you're staying up late and you get off work, and if you work in a big urban area, you're likely around bars and restaurants that serve alcohol. And so, how did you navigate through all that as a member of the service industry and not continue to relapse and get back into alcohol? And you know that when you start drinking, that's when the other drugs would come in. So you had to just abstain from alcohol altogether.
I am an alcoholic because of that reason. But I did relapse because of service industry. And it's because I felt like I was missing out.
As expected. Absolutely. That social FOMO is real.
Social FOMO for sure. I mean, it was exactly that. It was still so appealing to me. I was still young. I was 24, 23, and everyone worked really hard. And then at 11 p.m. or midnight when we got off, we went out and partied.
Restaurants closed. Let's go hang. Yeah.
And so I did relapse because of what I was surrounding myself with. But I did go get sober, and I did go back and work that same job, and I stayed sober.
When was that?
That would have been 2015.
Okay.
So, and it's so small, but my bosses, my managers at that restaurant, there's so many people who had such a huge impact on me and my sobriety, and they have no clue. As simple as it was for me, I called my boss crying, and I love her. She is so incredible. To this day, I still keep in touch, but I called her and I was like, hey, I have to go to rehab. And she's like, yo, go to rehab. You got your job when you get back. And I was just like,
incredible.
Like, why would you do that for me?
Yep.
Like looking back, like, yeah, of course, the right thing to do. But like in that moment, it was the biggest thing that could have happened. When I came back, they sat me down in their office and they said, look, anything you need, you let us know. Like if you need to work only morning shifts, or if you need to do this, or if you need to do that, not work in the bar, whatever it is, you just let me know. And just having that support, just having people care about me, because they got to know me the past year sober, as sober Mitch. Right. So they knew the real me. When I relapsed, they saw it. They saw me going through it. I had gone through it for about 2 weeks that I had relapsed. I'd only relapsed for about 2 weeks. It got really bad in 2 weeks. And then they sat me down after, like, whatever you need, we're here for you. And I stayed there for like 6 more years or 5 more years. I stayed there until they left. My managers left. I'm loyal to them. And I actually went and worked with them again, like mid-pandemic, at another restaurant, because I'm like, I'll follow y'all everywhere. Y'all have been the greatest.
Well, they clearly show that they were invested in you.
For sure.
So you were invested in them right back. So COVID hits. And like everyone really, especially all of you listening at home, it probably woke you up. I think, and no matter what, it was disruptive, for good or for bad. It changed the world. Big time. It changed the whole world forever. It really helped people focus on what was important. And either you worked in a corporate job and maybe you got laid off, or maybe you just decided this wasn't for me. I don't want to be confined to a cubicle or an office all day long. I want to go out and explore the world. Other people lost businesses and had to shutter their doors and had to be creative and explore other ways to make money. How did that impact you, both as a person living in sobriety, but also knowing that you need to make money, knowing that you want to get married and have a family and settle down one day? What was that like for you? I hadn't had any thought of that at that point. Okay. I didn't think I'd get married ever. I didn't think I could love someone enough to marry them. I didn't think I could love someone enough to live with them. Do you think that was rooted in your substance abuse, or just who you were as a person? No, it's just who I was. Okay. I think that's who I am. I just met my match. Incredible. Yeah. Your soulmate. Yeah. I believe that. But anyway, I forgot where we were going with this. We're bouncing back and forth. We're just mainly talking about COVID, but COVID. That's right. You use that as
I had a great time in COVID. I mean, obviously it was awful. So many people died. It was horrible.
Right. Lost their businesses.
Yeah. The economy. I mean, we're still having repercussions in the economy.
Yep.
Like that's what all this is about. But yeah, I mean, I got laid off from my job. I got another job that was remote, very few hours, and it was enough to like pay my rent. And I think it was like late 20 or mid 2021. I was like, this is Austin. Everyone was crowding the parks and the trail, and I was overwhelmed with people, and I was like, I got to get out of here. My girlfriend at the time and we packed up the car and the dogs and we drove to New York City. We were going to stay for 2 weeks and we ended up staying for 4 months. I think that at that point is when I could dedicate my whole life to running, like my whole day to running in the morning, work out in the morning, recover during the day, run at night, go to bed. I was able to live the professional runner lifestyle. It was really cool. I think that's probably what kind of set me up for success. You know, looking back, I was able to really devote the time and effort into running. But yeah, I think I did. And I was not really focused on a career at this point. I sort of, I got sober and I was like, I missed my, young adult years.
You kind of didn't live them.
Exactly. I was a slave to my drug, and my whole life revolved around getting and using the drug.
I feel the same way. I feel like cancer took 5 years of my life and addiction took 6 or 7.
Yeah. So I got sober, and in sobriety, and this was like, I had my family's full support. Like I had some crazy ideas and they're like, yeah, you only live once, go do it. My dad told me, he's like, what did he say? It was something of the effect of like, I've worked my whole life and I have nothing to show for it. He's like, go live your life.
And that's coming from Doc Ammons, the cardiologist.
My dad retired and then died like a few months later. Man. Like literally worked his whole life away. That was sort of the times, but I didn't want to do that. So anyway, I kind of like, I'm going on tangents here, but I kind of saw these years at 25 years age to about 30 of like, I want to have fun. I want to explore. I want to travel. I want to know I want to know who I really am, what I want to do. And I did discover all of that. I discovered my absolute love for routine and running and fitness. COVID probably was the catalyst. I mean, I had already probably been pretty hooked beforehand, but that really gave me the time to like focus on myself and who I was and travel and see other places. It also really just confirmed that I love Austin, Texas.
It's a great town.
I was a little tired of it. And then I went to New York, I went to Colorado, I went to California, I went to Utah, I went to Arizona, and all of those were like a few months at a time. And everywhere I went, it was cool at first. And I was like, I miss Austin.
Yep.
I miss the people.
Really is a special place.
It's special. There's nothing like it.
Immensely proud to be like born and raised here.
I am immensely proud that you born and raised people accepted me as a...
Well, but it's gotten even better because now we have people
pot.
like you.
Yeah. Well, I think it is what it is because of the people that are from all over.
Like I said before, I think COVID was the ultimate wake-up call for people, but it sent you down a path specifically with running and living the running lifestyle. Yeah. And it's ultimately what introduced you to your now wife.
Yeah. Well,
Jordy.
I'll say this. Everything good in my life has some sort of connection with running. Everything good. To my career, to my wife, to my friends, everything.
We have, I've been working for High Five Events since 2010, first at the bike shop and now at the event company. I'll always work with Jack and Stacy and Dan, producing the Austin Marathon, Cap 10K, Austin International Half, Kerrville Triathlon, whatever. Just love being around those people and working hard to provide a good event experience. And one of the more fun aspects of what I did for many years was host the bike leads. So we have cyclists that go around with the lead runners, male and female, of whatever race it was. And one year, I believe I had transitioned onto an operations role. And so I had Jordy, who was an experienced bike lead a race.
Austin Half Marathon.
The Austin Half Marathon. Which,
it was the year that they had moved the date and also had only had the half.
Yep.
It was a COVID,
Yep, exactly.
It was just the half marathon.
That was when you met Jordy.
That was when I met Jordy,
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you looked at her and you said, I'm going to marry that girl.
Well, it was a little after that, but yeah, pretty much to that effect. No, it was actually her getting a video of Slim.
Yep.
But she was the bike lead and I was in the front pack. And Jordy had got this great video of us running in a pack. And it's really cool when you get like a great running pack video. Sure. It's like everyone in that group is running like 5-minute pace and it just looks really cool. But I messaged her and I was like, and I had known who she was. I'd seen her around. She had done a photo shoot.
If you're in Austin and you're any kind of fitness,
for sure. You kind of just, Jordy. Yeah, for sure. But anyway, I messaged her and I was like, hey, I'd love that video. Can you send it to me? She's like, oh, yeah, sure. I was like, thanks for the tag, by the way. And she didn't tag me. But yeah, I mean, I got her phone number. I was like, send it to me as a text message. Excuse me. I got her phone number and we kind of started just talking from there. I was still on my crazy sabbatical. I was all around, but we chatted a lot sort of in the beginning, just text messaging. And
that was 2021, 22. What year was that? They're all a blur.
That was It was January 2022, I think.
Once COVID hit.
No, it might have been
I don't know
2021. I don't know either.
It's been a few years.
Yeah, it's been a few years.
But you meet and you never know what events are going to transpire to bring you where you need to be. But if none of those things happen the way that they did, whether it was you going down the path of alcohol and drug addiction to rehab, to getting back into running, to moving in and then returning to eventually Austin. Now you're married. Mm-hmm. You've got the 3 dogs. You got Lily, Johnny, and Arlo. Yeah. And you just moved into a new house. Mm-hmm. Together, y'all run all the time. We get to ride at Breakfast Club together. And life, if I can say this, seems to be going exactly how you want it right now. Is that safe to say?
Yeah, I would say that it's not how I want it. It's how it's happened, and it's beyond my wildest dreams. I say this a lot, but 10 years ago, if you would have said, what's the very best case scenario of your life in 10 years? I wouldn't have even been close. And I would have imagined, I told you, I have ambitious goals. Even with my ambition, I would have never imagined where I am right now. I can't even believe it. I cannot believe it.
One of my favorite quotes that you say, Mitch, is, I am today who I wanted to be when I was drinking and using drugs. Yeah. What do you mean by that?
So that came to me. I was just in the shower and that came to me because I was just thinking about stuff. But when I say drinking, I mean just using substances. Yeah. But when I would use and drink because I thought it made me confident. I could talk to people. I could talk to girls.
It allowed you to be social.
It allowed me to be social. It allowed me, confidence is the biggest thing. It completely wiped out my low self-esteem. And I you know what it's like when you're drunk and you know what you think when you're drunk and you think of yourself. But I was thinking about it like today, I don't even consider a drink. Like it doesn't even cross my mind. I was like, I would rather not be hungover. But because today I have the confidence, and I think it came with a lot of things, with sobriety, with running. A big one is Jordy. Jordy gave me so much confidence. I could talk about that forever. I don't know how it happened. But I can literally talk to anybody. I'm not afraid to do anything. I am very confident and sure of myself. And I know that I'm good at what I do. I know I'm a great runner. I know I'm a fantastic realtor. I'm dabbling investing and I'm getting good at that. And maybe my next thing is probably going to be a development project. And I'm great at them. And I know that I'm great because I have done the work. I've sat down with my mentors over and over and over. And I said, how did you do this? A week later, okay, I need you to go over this with me again. How did you do this? And that sort of goes back to like, who do you surround yourself with? But yeah, it's beyond anything I could have imagined today.
It's exciting to watch, like whether it's getting the house in Galveston or moving into a new place. Like it's just so fun to see you building your life together with Jordy, one of my best friends. We're roommates. We've known each other for almost 12 years now, I guess. Time. And she's just one of these people that as soon as you meet her, you know that you want to have them in your life forever. Right. And that's you now for me. And I love our little circle of what we do. But beyond just the social aspect and getting to ride in Breakfast Club and going out and having good food together and playing with our dogs and all that, the third tenet of finding good, leave the world better than you found it.
Sure.
And when I explain that to people, I want to stress that, like, yes, charity, philanthropy is important. It's been my career and my space for a really long time because
you're good at it.
Well, I'm still alive because of it. People, the city of Austin gave me $160,000 my first year of having cancer. My dad worked for the city of Austin, and even my producer, JB Hager, Mix 94.7 DJ on the JB and Sandy Morning Show, they would do stuff for us at the hospital and would raise money for Bikes for Kids. Like, just charity has been such an important facet of my life since I was young, and I believe truly saved my life and brought me back to it. On the other side of that, leaving the world better than you found it, first of all, it's one of our tenets of high five events. No matter where we have the privilege of producing an event, we want to leave that site better than we found it. When we get there, it doesn't matter if somebody else threw a bunch of cans, a homeless person left a bag of trash on the site, we're going to pick it up and we're going to leave it better than we found it. And the majority, of course, even during the pandemic, was thinking of ways to improve the community.
Yeah, I remember.
Clean Trail Club. We'd go and wear masks and pick up trash on the trail just to try and beautify our city. For you, I believe, not only just with your smile and your infectious personality, you make the world better by sharing your sobriety story, by showing that, you said this earlier, you didn't have anybody that showed you that life was possible beyond addiction. And I didn't either. I had to learn that through rehab and have kind of like the scientific approach to, once you rid your body of these chemicals and the pain receptors in your brain start to fade away a little bit, the withdrawals will subside and you'll begin to feel normal. I needed somebody to tell me that was possible. You, on the other hand, because you were in more of like the recreational realm of drug use, rehab, having somebody show you that life was possible, you being on this podcast right now are making the world a better place. You're leaving it better than you found it. Why is that important to you to share that story?
I have a great answer for that. Because people helped me in the beginning. I could have never done it on my own. And this goes for everything: sobriety, running, my career, my relationships. I can never do it on my own. In the beginning, I had people willing to help me. And even if they didn't even know they were helping me, they were just setting an example. But that, I said it earlier, but that was the biggest thing, is just, I saw someone who did it. I saw someone who made it and who had what I wanted, and I chased them. And so today I really try to set an example, one, on social media, to people who may be struggling, and it can be addiction. It can be literally anything, like struggle. Everybody struggles. And
financial trouble, family issues,
everything,
legal problems.
And while my story is a little graphic as far as like the depths that I got to in addiction, as catastrophic as that was for me, somebody else has an event that is as, maybe not as bad on paper, but is as catastrophic to them that it was to me. And just having someone to, just show that it's possible, helped me so much in the beginning. And so I try and be that light and just show that, look, you can take fitness to wherever you want to go with hard work. You can take your career to anywhere you want to go with hard work. And obviously there's more to it than just hard work. You got to do the right work. You got to be a good person. You got to be good to people. And I truly believe that, like, it's pretty damn simple. And it's a lot of it's relationship based. If you are good in your relationships, if you set a good example and you're good to people, good things happen to you. People want to work with you. People want to share their insight with you. And that's been kind of how I was shown and how I try and lead by example.
My producer, JB, and I love the clips, the quotes that we believe are kind of the hallmarks of a person's personality and worldview. And I think you just nailed it right on the head. That was such a good way of looking at it. There's an increasingly popular phrase now, and it has to do with a person's health. And for the healthy person, they have a million dreams. They see no limit to what they can do in life. To the person that's struggling with a disease or addiction or whatever, they have one dream, and that's to get past whatever obstacle or challenge lies in their way. For me, the first dream was to beat cancer, and then the next dream was to beat addiction. And now I feel like you and I are hitting our stride, right. So to speak, firing on all cylinders.
For sure.
But yet it's still important to make sure that you go back and you're giving inspiration to those people whose one dream is to beat cancer or to get past addiction or to move beyond their financial or legal troubles or whatever it may be. And you do that in spades. You're such, I know that you don't like a lot of praise, but you're an inspiration to so many. And I love watching you cross finish lines, especially
I see you
as
often
the first
at the finish line.
I'm waiting for you.
Yeah, I see you there.
I'm waiting for you there. Cap 10K that one year, watching you finish and being the one to welcome you in was a huge
one
privilege.
Of the most epic finish. Yeah. That was a great time.
It made me feel so good to watch you cross, and then you had that Texas flag on you.
Yeah, that
was
was
just cool. Such a great moment. We'll put that picture up in the YouTube feed.
Yeah.
We talked about a lot today.
Sure.
I want to get into a couple lighthearted things.
Okay.
This is something that I borrowed from Brene Brown. It's kind of like a rapid fire question list just to get people to understand who Mitch is a little bit more. First and foremost, what is your favorite hype song or musical artist?
Oh, no. I'm embarrassed to say it, but it's Morgan Wallen.
That's fun. Why are you embarrassed to say Morgan Wallen?
I don't know. I love Morgan Wallen. He is the greatest thing that's ever happened to country music.
All right, we'll be sure to tag him and get a shout
tag
out
Morgan.
And make that happen. Okay, favorite movie or TV show?
I really enjoyed Suits.
Oh my God.
Suits was really good.
I had Kendall watch it.
You know what? Let me back up.
Was obsessed.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good.
I have some like my regular go-tos is like New Girl and Modern Family. The Office, not so much lately, but New Girl and Modern Family are probably my two favorite shows ever, and I've seen them through probably 10 times
over
each.
and over and over again.
At least 10 times
Those
each.
are the ones that you can just have on in the background while you're doing laundry or something.
All the time. I've seen them so many times. I think I almost laugh more because I feel like I know the character so much better.
Yeah.
Like I feel like, and it's my favorite.
Suits is really great though too.
Suits is great.
I was an early
I've only gone through it once though.
I watched it when it was on TV.
I watched it like last year.
And then when it came on Netflix, I introduced it to Kendall and we watched the whole like 9 seasons all in one shot. It was great. Favorite ice cream or dessert?
I mean, chocolate. I'm a chocolate guy. Chocolate ice cream, chocolate cake. I love cake. Actually, I'm a big cinnamon dessert guy.
Okay.
Cinnamon rolls, cinnamon sticks, cinnamon and sugary stuff.
Churros.
Churros, sure. I love dessert. Dessert's another non-negotiable. I eat dessert every day.
Being positively selfish with desserts.
I eat dessert every day.
Favorite, besides milk, because I know you're going to say milk, favorite post-run cheat meal or treat after you get done running?
Oh, pancakes and milk.
So good.
Pancakes.
We had pancakes and milk last weekend together.
We did.
So good.
Yeah.
This is one that I asked to put people on the spot. There's always a fascinating answer. Person in history, dead or alive, that you would like to have a conversation with.
I mean, my dad. He's dead.
I love... A lot of people, when I ask them that question, their mind immediately goes to celebrity or Jesus Christ or Marcus Aurelius or something like that. And all those are great answers. But it shows a lot about a person when they say somebody that they were already close to and that they missed.
I mean,
having Doc Ammons,
he
that
just
one more conversation.
saw so much bad stuff with me. And he saw the tail end of the good, but he hadn't seen the last 3 years.
Yes, he has. What would you say to Doc Ammons right now?
That we're okay. He wasn't sure if I was going to be okay.
Yeah, he knows it.
Yeah,
and it's clear that you're living and creating a legacy that he is proud of. Not would be proud of, but he is proud of.
Yeah,
and I think if he saw the way that you were living now. I guarantee you he's not thinking about any of the stuff.
I'll tell you two things. First of all, he wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
He'd be like, what?
My Mitch?
And the second thing is he would love Jordy.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Every single girlfriend I ever dated was so intimidated by him. We're like the medical family. My mom was an OR nurse. My dad was a heart surgeon.
Yeah.
Everyone, and then my aunts and uncles are all nurses. And so people that came to holidays, they'd be like, oh, I can't even hang with these people. Jordy would have blown them out of the water.
All right, before we wrap up, earlier you talked about goals, some goals that you have. You strive, you work hard for whatever is in your sights. So what's next for Mitch? Professionally, running, what goals do you have coming up this year and in the years coming?
Running, I would like to get into the ultra space.
Okay.
I have a theory. I won't share it, but I have a pretty strong theory, and I'd like to experiment to see if it's true.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'll just say it. I think I can run fantastic ultra run races just training for a marathon, just doing marathon training. I truly believe it. I did my first ultra last year and I won it. And it was a 50 miler.
That was a BPN 50, right?
Yeah. I truly think that. And so I'm going to give it a go. It'll be fun.
Selfishly, I get to be a part of it now as your crew
at
the next BPN Ultra.
You got the spot.
Shout out to Nick Bear and the BPN team. You are a BPN ambassador athlete.
I'm a BPN athlete, and that could be I could do a whole nother podcast on BPN and the support that they've done for me. I mean, they believed in me when I was nothing. What
they've created, what Nick has created, and Stephanie and the whole crew is just... It is really showcasing the power of going one more.
Yeah.
Of you are so much more in control of your life and the way that you live it and the happiness that you can obtain just by doing those things.
For sure.
For me, it's tying it back to finding good. It's being positively selfish. It's surrounding yourself with a good team that's going to encourage you to go one more.
Yeah.
And it's definitely doing their part to leave the world better than you found it through stories like you and showcasing the human potential
for the community, that's awesome. For me, for everyone.
Professionally, what are your goals there? I know you told me one at breakfast a couple weekends ago.
I have some sort of financial milestones in the business that kind of are measurable achievements, and one of them's a 6-figure month. I've been very close, but I would like to break that 6 figures in a month here soon. That would be fantastic. It's kind of a benchmark. And I want to get into development, so I want to build houses, and I'm really close.
Love that.
Yeah, so that's a big one, and it's a big risk. But I don't know a single thing about it. I mean, I know a little bit, but I have people that will stand with me through the whole thing.
Sure.
Like I have mentors, and I mean, they're friends. They mentor me, but they're friends, and they will guide me. And Jordy, who is by law going to be involved because we share finances now. So if I'm in the hole, she's in the hole. But she's confident in me. She knows I don't know a single thing about it, and she's confident because of the people I have around me.
I want you to tell me in 30 seconds or less what Jordy means to you.
I can't do it in 30 seconds. I can just say this. When I really met Jordy, I did know I was going to marry her. Everything, and I've talked about confidence a lot. I don't know how or what. She has given me so much confidence. My career is where it's at because of Jordy. My running is where it's at probably because of Jordy. She inspires me. She's the hardest worker I know, other than myself, which she could probably outwork me. I outwork her. She's much smarter than I am.
She's so smart.
She's so smart.
It's ridiculous.
No, her work ethic and her intelligence inspires me and has launched me to another level of myself. And I don't know why and how. And like I told you, I didn't want to get married, and neither did she. I had never dated someone that I didn't absolutely get so annoyed with on a regular basis. I have a lot of pet peeves. I'm OCD. I'm ADHD. I have a lot of pet peeves. Jordy hits every single one of them. She does every single one of my pet peeves, but it doesn't bother me one bit.
You don't want to get married until you meet the person you want to marry.
I thought that was fucking bullshit until it happened to me.
Yep.
And so anyway, she's my rock. I lean on her more than anything and anyone else in this world, and she carries it like it's nothing.
Well, you have both the physical and emotional attributes of being a good person, but more than anything, you both add value to the lives of others that have the privilege of being in your company. Mm-hmm. I'm blessed to call myself one of them.
Yeah.
So I can't thank you enough for just everything that you are, who you are as a human, as an athlete, as a professional, and as a friend. Oh. And tell our audience how they can help you get to that 6-figure month? How do we find you on social? How do we buy houses from you? Give us everything.
My Instagram is at Mitch Ammons. It's just my name. You can send me a message. You can give me a phone call, like whatever. It's very easy. We just hop on a phone call and kind of talk about your dreams, and we make them a reality.
Love it.
Yeah.
And then you're with Frost Landy Group.
I'm with Landy Frost Group. Tim Landy, Mike Frost are the principals of our team, and they're my mentors and my very best friends. And we got a great thing going.
And people can reach out to you through your social
media, whatever.
Love it. Yeah. Great. You are obviously positively selfish. You run first thing in the morning. You take care of yourself first. Make sure that Mitch is 100% so he can give 100%. You've surrounded yourself with who I believe is one of the best human beings ever to exist in Jordy, but other people on your team, both running and in real estate. And you have 100% done your part to leave this world a better place. You've certainly enriched my life, and I can't wait to see what other finish lines and milestones you're going to achieve in this life. I'm super excited for you, and I can't thank you enough for being on the Finding Good podcast.
Well, thank you. And all of that back to you as well, because
thanks, brother.
You know how I feel about you, and grateful.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us today on the Finding Good podcast. As always, please subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. My name is Mike Thompson, and as always, keep finding good.